So Zachary, what's the cost to get a vehicle converted, like from beginning to end? And so if someone were to bring in a Chrysler vehicle 2022 or 23 and they wanted to get that vehicle converted, what is the cost to make that happen?
Yeah, so the cost of a conversion varies based on the type of conversion and the chassis, so the vehicle itself. So a rear entry conversion, for example, it's a popular option because it's less expensive than a side entry. So a lot of folks like that. You know, there's a lot of give and take, right? You're not going to have as much maneuverability and some other things that would be comfortable, but it's a less expensive option. And then you have, you know, the premium side entry conversions on, let's say, the Toyota Sienna hybrid, which the fact that it's a hybrid, which makes it complicated, and it's a side entry, that's where you are now on the upper end to convert a vehicle. So the cost to do that ranges, you know, typically anywhere from, it's a pretty wide swing, $20,000 to $40,000 cost to convert, in addition to the price of the van. So if you start thinking about that, it's like, okay, a Toyota Sienna by itself, that's a great vehicle. It's a really nice minivan. That is already, you're in the 40,000, 50,000 range for that. Then you add the cost of the conversion in addition to that right now.
Oh yeah, yeah, much brighter. So look, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I want to know, are you guys seeing like a greater demand for these vehicles, because it's so hard to find a wheelchair converted van right now? Yeah.
So what's cool is overall there's a lot more awareness being created about accessibility and providing equal access to transportation and things that in the past have been overlooked, frankly. So there's just a huge amount of mobility and disability awareness that's happening everywhere. And naturally, because of that, companies and individuals are starting to find resources and vehicles and other things that just enhance their accessibility, their ability to access all sorts of different sort of stuff in life.
Yeah.
So definitely demand is increasing as overall awareness does as well.
Yeah, because even for us, like our industry, I mean, it just seems like people are getting into it. They see that it's becoming more and more lucrative, and I think that's interesting because I spoke to a couple of people and they said, hey, you know, I ordered my wheelchair accessible van, but it won't get here until like 4 to 6 months.
Right.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There is, I mean, and you see that is one way that we are similar to traditional automotive. Is it's the same for traditional dealerships right now too. You go to a Toyota dealership and good luck being able to leave that day with a brand new Toyota Sienna. Like, you're going to have to wait months most of the time to be able to get a Sienna, not even converted. So,
now, do you think things changed, like with COVID? Like, did that put a halt on operations and everything, or do you think it was kind of the same before COVID?
Yeah, so there are some broader economic impacts that are affecting all automotive. So the reason why really all automotive manufacturers are experiencing similar things is the raging comeback after COVID, which of course led to inflation and other things, supply chain and getting things from different countries and sourcing it all. When everybody wants there's a demand surge across most industries, which means there's just less stuff to go around, less raw materials to go around, so everybody's fighting for those. And so, yeah, absolutely, there's still a lot more demand than supply has to meet right now. So
I guess I want to ask you this too. So if any of our viewers are out there, right, and let's just say they never heard of VMI, how would they be able to find a VMI converted vehicle?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know that the world of mobility, it's like its own industry, right? And there's a ton of resources out there, lots of new technology, lots of cool gadgets and gizmos out there. There is an entire dealer network across the United States and Canada for mobility vehicles like these. So, you know, Mobility Works is a big one. AMS vans.
I love Mobility Works. Hi, Brayden.
Yep. AMS vans is another big one. So there are a lot and tons of of really amazing independently owned and operated dealerships across the country. So if you are looking to see who's near you, we have a dealer locator on our website, vantagemobility.com. You can put in your zip code and it'll actually tell you who the closest dealer is.
What's your website address again?
Vantagemobility.com.
Okay, you guys, I'm actually going to plug that in the description of this video, okay? Because I know you guys are going to ask.
Yeah, and then when you put your zip code in there, you can see which mobility dealers, because you're not going to find one of these going to a traditional dealership. And frankly, you want to work with a mobility professional who understands what to ask, how to recommend the right solution based on the needs of the wheelchair user. So for you as NEMT professionals, the type of wheelchair van is really going to dictate the type of service you can provide, right? So here primarily we build side entry vehicles. Side entry, they're a more complex conversion process than a rear entry that many of you are probably familiar with in NEMT. But side entry provides a lot more maneuverability, so much more room, and it's a more premium luxury experience for wheelchair users than a rear access ramp is. So depending on what you want to offer your customers, that is part of what will determine what type of vehicles that you want to provide.
Okay, so you guys don't do any rear entry at all?
So we do have dealers that sell rear entry. You can find them, but just speaking of this specific manufacturing facility, and what you're seeing be converted in this video is just side entry.
Side entry.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I have one question.
What's up?
So, if someone was trying to get into this industry and they had their own vehicle, maybe a used vehicle, just say a 2017, what are the steps in order to get that vehicle converted, and do you guys do that? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, so a couple things to know when you are considering converting your own vehicle is that wheelchair vans aren't, they're not custom made per se, where you can't just bring a vehicle that we don't already convert and we'll just convert it for you. So first off, it needs to be a convertible vehicle, meaning, again, in this facility, a Honda Odyssey, a Chrysler Pacifica or Voyager, or a Toyota Sienna. If you have a Nissan or another brand of a minivan, we're not going to be able to convert it because every vehicle requires a substantial amount of engineering and testing and other things so that we can repeat that process on the same van. So it does need to be a qualifying vehicle. The other thing is depending on the use and the condition of the vehicle. So if your vehicle, for example, has any accident history, that's an automatic disapproval. Just because anything that could possibly affect the frame of the vehicle, we could disassemble it and find that there is damage that makes it so we can't convert it. And you definitely don't want to get halfway through this only to stop. It's just not a good situation to be in. And so, but what I would say is if you do have a vehicle that you would like to be converted, the best bet is to connect with your local mobility specialist because they're always going to be up to the latest knowledge on what can be converted, what can't be, mileage and condition restrictions, etc. So you want to find your local mobility dealer to help you determine that.
Because I heard that there was restrictions on the year too, because we have a 2014 Dodge, and we're not able to get that van converted because of the year. So
yeah,
that's something that we stumbled across.
For sure. Yeah, it's a great question. So part of what happens there too is even if that was a van that we converted, I guess that would be, wow, 11 years ago. Time flies.
Yeah.
Or 10 years ago about. In order to convert it now, we'd have to source all of the parts and other stuff. So just parts and all the stuff, just there's a lot that changes over the years, and so even if we wanted to, available parts and other things that would be required for that may not actually exist anymore. Especially the Dodge is a good example, because Dodge Grand Caravan has been completely discontinued. They're not even building them anymore.
I know.
Yeah, right. Which the replacement of the Dodge Grand Caravan is the Chrysler Voyager, which is a higher price. So it's more expensive, but it's a great vehicle.
I like the Toyota Siennas. Those things are really nice. Do you guys have any hybrids?
Yeah, so that is all that we convert right now. So Toyota, they're doing a really good job transitioning their entire offering into hybrid options. And so all Toyota Siennas these days are hybrid. There's actually not even an option to get a non-hybrid Toyota Sienna.
Wow.
So hybrid, being a hybrid, it adds a lot of complexity to the conversion process. And so as vehicles get more sophisticated and the technology also becomes more intricate in the computer system and the hardware and everything, it's really important to work with a company that is like really good at this, because not all conversion companies are created equal. So you just got to make sure that the proper testing, crash testing, safety inspections, all of that stuff is done so that it's done properly.
That leads me to another question, right? Because we see a lot of people on social media, as you may know, social media is wild, but I see people saying, well, I can do that conversion myself at home. I know how to do it. But people don't understand that these vehicles, if you plan on running a business, having a company, you want to make sure that your vehicle is safe for not only your drivers, but also for your clients. So when you're installing things yourself and making changes and removing the floor and doing all of that, do you really know if it's really done right? So I think, in my opinion, I think that it's best that we leave that to the professionals, right? And in this case, it's VMI.
Yeah, it's a great call. You wouldn't go to a normal dealership, and if they say, oh yeah, this is a great vehicle, would you buy it if it was never crash tested and approved? Like, it doesn't have any star rating because we never tested the safety. You absolutely would not buy that vehicle. So it shouldn't be any different with a
Nor would I want to get in it if I was a client.
Exactly,
like,
right?
No.
It's not even it's not even just business compliance. It's just safety. You are driving that thing and somebody is in it. You spend a lot of time in your vehicle, so you got to make sure it's safe. So at VMI, all of our vehicles are NHTSA crash tested and approved.
Okay, that's good to know. So I know we've asked you like a lot of great questions, but if there was something you can share with us that we haven't asked you that you think will be helpful for us to know, what would that be?
Well, what I would say is what I think you are doing for the NEMT industry is really great. Right? Just like Jasmine said earlier, there is a lot of opportunity right now in the industry, and I love that you guys are jumping on that, capturing that opportunity, but it's also like you're solving a broader issue, which is more wheelchair users need more access to more things than they get today. And so I would just encourage anybody who wants to get into this. This is a great place to be. You feel like you're making a difference above and beyond just earning a living, an honest living. You're making a difference in people's lives. What I would say is get really familiar with the different types of vehicles that are out there. Right? Side entry isn't a super common option in non-emergency medical transportation because of the costs that it's been traditionally. It's more expensive than rear entries, like I've said. But it's our hope that NEMT business owners will look at the broader service offering and also look at the opportunity to provide the best experience. Right? How do you give a wheelchair user a better experience than they've gotten before? A side entry can still seat 5 ambulatory non-wheelchair user passengers, And then if you want to, you have your wheelchair user in there too, so they are pretty versatile vehicles that give a better experience. I would love for more NEMT companies to have a better mix in their offering to support customers based on what their needs are.
That's a great point. That is a great point, because a lot of NEMT providers, they do typically, they like to purchase their rear entry. So that is a great point that you mentioned, having an option available in your fleet, rear entry and side entry. So that is a great point that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and it can differentiate you too, right?
Right.
If all of the, so many NEMT companies have just focused on cost, like keep the cost down, get the least expensive vans possible, rear entry. Like, think about how you could differentiate yourself, and your clients will start choosing you over and over and over again, because they know that they can get a more truly accessible experience with you than they'd get with your competitors.
Great point.
Yeah.
Zach is really sharing some knowledge, guys.
Love what you guys do. It's really awesome.
Thank you so much, Zach. It was a pleasure.
Thank
you for everything. We really appreciate you. We really appreciate you sharing all this knowledge with us. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. So this is called the floor plate. So the ramp is in there. This is an in-floor ramp. It's our specialty. So the ramp comes out from under the floor.
So is there a remote?
Yeah, so it's integrated with the van's own system.
Okay.
So like, this is a Honda. So when you use the key fob on the Honda, it'll open the door and deploy the ramp and kneel all by itself.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So you can see like how much space is in there, rather than the rear entry where you kind of got like a channel going up the back a little bit.
Right.
All of that area there is going to be open for the wheelchair user.
So the wheelchair here, and then I'm sure there'll be seats here, right?
Yeah, so seats, so you'll have the traditional 3-person bench seat in the back. The entire floor will be open, and then you'll have 2 seats in the front. But the 2 front seats can be removed or interchanged.
Oh, great.
So even like, let's say you had a couple people, a couple wheelchair users simultaneously that you wanted to pick up, you could take out this passenger seat and have somebody in a wheelchair there and in the middle.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so pretty versatile.
Yeah.
So you can see now, like, all of the electrical and the air conditioning and all that stuff has to be, all of the air conditioning and electrical, all those components have to be installed into the van.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, think of it, every single little button, everything electronic in the van has to still work. And so we build it back up to spec.
You know what? That leads me to another question. So if you guys are completely removing everything out, electrical and everything, let's just say like the owner has the vehicle for like a couple of months and then they start having like electrical problems and stuff. Does that fall under the manufacturer or you guys?
So it depends. So because we are a reputable conversion company, the original warranties carry over.
Oh,
so
okay.
From like Toyota, Honda, Chrysler, they all have their own. It's like 3-year 36,000 is the standard. So those still carry over to new wheelchair van owners. And the conversion also has a warranty that's the same, 3 years, 36,000 miles. So when you take it in to get checked, there are actually technicians out there that specialize in accessible vans. So they'll be able to diagnose and figure out exactly, and they'll figure out if it's something to do with the conversion, then our warranties and our support teams will help with that. If they find that it's something with the original vehicle, then you'll actually, like the van owner will actually go to like a Toyota service center and they will check out the original parts by a Toyota dealer, for example. So yeah, they're serviceable and everything.
I know, like,
yeah.
Because like we saw that there, it was like, I mean, it was a complete sale. Like everything was gone.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why, again, working with somebody who's been doing this for a while. we've been converting vans for over 35 years.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
They've been converting vans for over 35 years.
Yep.
That's important.
So,
longevity.
So we are, we build it up to the spec that you'd expect from a non-converted vehicle. We're getting there. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, you feel like you've seen a lot. So that's probably about to get lifted up.
For the floor to go in?
So it's in now. So when it comes out of that welding and cutting area, it now has a new floor. So, you can see this vehicle right here has a new floor on it.
Monica, try that out.
Yeah, just kind of grab it and swivel it out, and then you just walk out with it.